In this video, I'm going to tune and shoot at 70 meters this Win&Win Meta DX, the new lineup from Win&Win, the Meta DX riser and the MXT-10 limbs. For those of you that are new here, my name is Kaminski. I'm a two-time Olympic silver medalist in the sport of archery, and we're going to make this channel a great resource to all types of archery. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscription button and the notification bell. That way you're notified every time a new video is uploaded. I'd appreciate it. So I've had these for a little bit, and this is really the first chance that I'm finally actually getting to start shooting these things and this setup, and I'm excited to play with it. I've got it set up here for an Olympic style recurve bow, and I am going to do a quick tune to make sure that it is good to go, and then I'll work my way back to 70 meters and I'll shoot a 36 arrow around there, and along the way I'll be describing what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, and my opinion about this entire setup. I already set up the bow in a video previous to this one. If you haven't seen that one yet, there'll be links in the description below, plus I'll put a card at the top up there, so you can check that one out first if you choose to do so. And yeah, like I said, I'm going to get into shooting this. I've already got everything pretty much set up. The brace height, the tiller, center shot, limb alignment, everything. It's all good to go. I should be just fine. I'm here at 30 meters. I've got a camera down range so you can see impact points as well. And like I said, I'm good to go. I think I have my sight set roughly on 30 meters, so don't be too surprised if I'm not in the middle of the bale. This is a very preliminary setup, but I should be really close, hopefully. Hopefully I'm not missing any arrows here today. Feels very, very smooth through the clicker. Could be low weight. I did not check what weight I preset this at, so it's easily possible that I'm a little light on the bow weight. Once I get it tuned, I'll weigh it. That way I can kind of compare what I'm feeling versus my other setups and stuff, and see if they do feel clicker. But first impression through the clicker zone, very, very smooth. Similar to that video I did on those Uka limbs, you know, very, very smooth. But there is very little vibration, and for it not being tuned at all, I mean, it feels really nice relative to, you know, how I know what a really good tuned bow can feel like, or a really well set up bow. And this has a completely different balance than I'm used to, so I know I'm going to have to adjust certain things and parameters like stabilizer setups. But overall, it still feels good. It still balances well, and it jumps hard despite having very little vibration. So there's still a very good dynamic feel to it. But there's just not a ton of vibration afterwards. There's still a little bit, a couple of low frequency whacks that I gotta tune out. And I think once I get it tuned and set up and feeling right, that'll be probably all gone. I mean, the arrows aren't flying well, so they're definitely probably very stiff. I'm gonna shoot some bare shafts anyway. I haven't moved my sight yet since I've been shooting here at 30 meters this first end, but I want to get into tuning and get it done so I can get back to 70 as fast as possible. Oh yeah, way stiff. Alright, so I'm going to go get those arrows, and I'm going to go in probably 2-3 turns easily and go from there. I'm going to go in 2.5 turns and go from there. Tell you, the limbs look great in the sun. It's just that matte finish, and I really can catch the carbon fiber weave on them. Tiller was a little off. So I'm noticing something that I kind of don't like. Real small thing. Right down here at the base of the riser, where I lay my bow square to measure my tiller, there's like this extra reinforcement plate back there on the back of the limb, and it's peeking out just above the riser here. So when I throw the rest, or this T-square on it, it wants to sometimes sit on it, but I just got to go just a tiny bit above that to make sure it's good to go. It's not like you check your tiller all the time, so it's not that big of a deal. I'm real close to where I like my tiller split, so I'm going to lock it down there to start. It's a little bigger gap than I really want, but it's a fine start for now because I'm sure it'll change. I'm sure I'll be adjusting my tiller bolts, my limb bolts for bow weight here a few times before it's finalized, before I get back there to 70. And I also will probably shoot this through a chronograph and see what kind of speeds I'm getting out of it. This entire setup. This is the same string, same arrows, same build, same plunger, same center shot basically, and same spring setting and tension setting that I did the Uka limb reviews. So if I don't have to touch the plunger tension, I won't, and I'll shoot it through a chronograph as well and get a bit of speed as well as feet per second per pound that I'm getting too. It feels even better now that it's at higher bow weight. As far as afterwards, doesn't have that wobble like I was talking about. A little bit higher frequency vibration, but it's punchy, super punchy. I like foam limbs, so that's kind of to be expected, but a very dynamic punch and jump out of the hands. Yeah, feels really, really good. Move my clicker out a little. Feels great. Even though the riser is very top heavy, because I haven't shot a whole lot, I'm not really noticing that in my sight picture yet, but I'm sure once I get back to 70, as I get tired, I will. So I'll be adding and playing with some stabilizer setup. I'll probably have to add a couple ounces on the long rod if I had to guess. Little knock low it looked like. Yeah, way knock low. Well, I'm gonna go down there and get them and come back, make some adjustments. Tightening up as I go along. Let's hope it won't stay like that. I know it'll get bigger as we go along as I get tired. So it just feels really refined, like lots of tension in the string at brace height down low, but it feels really smooth through the clicker zone. And I don't know if you can hear that, but it's just like, it's a very tight-knit little bit of vibration, but it dissipates so quickly. It's really, really pleasant to shoot. So the knocking point is quite low. It doesn't look terribly low on here. What does it look like at full draw? Still all right. I think I can move my rest down a little bit. I doubt I'm going to be able to move it enough to compensate for that radical of a high knocking point reading. Although my tiller split is more than I normally run, so that'll definitely make the knocking point appear high. So I'm going to do a whole lot of changes at once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the top limb bolt pressure, which will reduce the tiller split. I will bump my rest down, and because I'm increasing this top limb bolt, I'll be increasing the weight slightly. Hopefully that'll be enough. If you're interested in learning how I tune my bow, I will do two things for you. I'm going to post a link in the description below of my tuning series, how I take my Olympic style recurve out of the box and tune it for competing at world class events like the Olympic Games, anything like that. And so I have a whole series dedicated to that. Plus I wrote a book, and it's available on my website, jakekaminski.com. I'll have links in the description below on where you can check out tuning for performance, and I'll also put a link at the top up here just in case you're interested in checking out how I tune my Olympic style recurves and are looking for a nice easy to read and easy to follow setup book is exactly how I tune my recurve. So I'll post that down there below for you. mean, it's feeling better every little adjustment I'm making. It's getting quieter and less vibraty. And it holds really, really steady for something that I haven't set up the stabilizers with at all. When I'm not shaking, it's super steady. It feels very, very stable at full draw. I don't know if that has to do with the limbs. I think as I get back there to 70, that I'll be able to find that out more. Still a little low, looks like, knocking point wise. And when I get the shot off, it feels great. Still too low of a knocking point. I really don't want to tie new knocking points on this thing. Maybe I can scoot it with my bow square just a little bit, get away with that. I think flipping the plate to the low plate would be way too high of a knocking point then. So I did put that high plate because Win&Win kind of has what Hoyt calls the vertitune. I don't know what Win&Win's official name is yet. You can take the plate where the plunger mounts and flip it upside down so you can raise and lower that plunger hole and change the feel of the bow and change the way it tunes. This could be potentially why that's happening. It's something new that they're doing, so the location of the plunger may not be in the exact same place like it typically is vertically relative to the grip, relative to the center line of the bow. So this is probably why something like this is showing up. Before, it didn't show up because my arrows were so stiff that it wasn't apparent. So, I mean, these are flying much better and they're grouping okay. So I think, I don't know, I'm gonna keep playing with it, see if I can get it closer without having to totally redo the string, because I just don't want to have to get into that today if I don't have to. So I'm gonna still bring up my bow weight just a little. I can't do bare bow. Can't shoot a reverse tiller on a recurve. I mean, he can. Simon Terry, is that his name? The Silver Fox from Great Britain. He shot a reverse tiller on his recurve. But if he shot a bad shot, he said his fletchings would hit his knuckle on the way by due to the really wild knock travel, basically. I wouldn't recommend it. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to stay even, or, you know, not even, but standard Olympic style recurve, shorter on the bottom than the top. So it's a bit of a chilly day here in Florida. It's a high of 58 degrees. I don't know what that is in centigrade, but it was below freezing last night, and it's pretty cold out here. So clean. That is the word to describe the way this bow feels. Clean, refined. And really low knocking point. But I mean, like, that wasn't the greatest shot, and I don't know if you heard, but the bow sounded slightly different, a bit higher vibration. But I didn't feel a ton of feedback in a negative way, and the arrow still dropped pretty much in the group, maybe slightly low left if I had to guess from this view. So I'm not sold yet if I like the lack of feedback. It will take more shooting for me to tell, because what I kind of like to feel, I like to feel some feedback from the bow when I'm shooting it. Like if I make a mistake but I'm not aware of it, but my bow tells me, I like to know. Although the bow did sound different. So it sounded different on that shot, so it did give me some feedback, but not necessarily as much as I'm used to, but I still got feedback. So I'll see, time will tell if I like that. But on that note, that is a good question to ask. Do you prefer the feedback or not when you make a bad shot? I prefer the feedback, so it's a good secondary, like, tell in case something was really wrong and I didn't quite realize that I made the mistake. I realize that I'm not like everybody, so I'm curious to know what everybody thinks out there. So let me know in the comments below if you prefer the feedback or not. And I think after this, I'm just about exhausted any sort of option that I have without retying these knocking points. And this center serving is not going to stand up to retying these knocking points. It's just too old. It's been shot too much and needs to be redone. So if it's not going to work, we'll just call it good anyway, and I'll go shoot at 70 because it looks like stiff to weak. I'm well within an acceptable range by now. I mean, it shoots okay at 30. I'm not happy with that tune. I mean, it still shoots fine without the best tune in the world. So that's pretty nice. So I'm going to see what I've got inside and see if I can come up with a better option and have a little bit better tune. Otherwise, we'll just go to 70 and shoot some arrows, because that other video where I hadn't shot in a few years, my tune was way off. I mean, I think I was blue, stiff, and low. And so it wasn't even remotely close, and I still shot mid or low 330s, 333. So that's pretty good. I don't think it'll be a big difference here. I just want to make sure that I give it a good chance of how it feels, much like I did with that Uka setup, just in case. But honestly, so far, even though I've had to increase the bow 3 turns now, I don't feel the limbs increasing in weight all that much. They're not very foreign to me as far as the draw force curves feel, so I'm familiar with it and how it feels. It's very comfortable. It is smoother through the clicker, but sometimes when you get something that's so smooth through the clicker, it feels like almost unstable sometimes, to where when you're at full draw, you're just kind of uneasy and it's not very solid to pull against, where this feels really good at full draw, where it's not wanting to wobble around, but it's really smooth. So I believe it's definitely better than the NS limbs that I've been shooting. Very comfortable. I mean, I can't really describe it any other way than just comfortable, and the vibration afterwards, like I said, clean and refined. Alright, so I went through all of the strings that I know are the material that I want, and all of them, the knocking points are lower than this one, and I'm already as high as I can go. I'm actually almost a ½ inch above center with this setup. For whatever reason, it's a lot higher than I normally am running through these Win&Win bows. I don't know why, but for now, this is what I'm going to use. I'm going to shoot 70 meters now and shoot a 36 arrow round, so I can get a little bit better idea of what this bow actually feels like, how it shoots, how it feels at 70, and some more information. That way I can kind of share with you guys some more in-depth thoughts, because 70 meters is a lot more critical than 30. So it's just one of those things. I need to order more strings. I probably should have done it for Black Friday with all the deals going on everywhere, but the arrows come out a little stabilize quick, so I don't think it'll be too bad. I can tell it's faster because the splits that I've got here on my sight tape are higher up. I just had to move my sight on that first arrow. So I mean, it feels really good, even though it's not 100% tuned, even though the arrows don't fly the greatest. I can make a relatively lackluster shot on that one there, hesitating a little bit, and still dropped it in the middle. So the bow felt fine, the release was still clean, and like I said, those limbs, they just feel a little bit more stable while at full draw than the limbs that I have shot in the past. So that's a really nice thing. I wish I could put data to that and a hard number other than just telling you it feels more stable while at full draw. You know, I definitely need to work on my stabilizer setup there. I'm fighting it a little bit. It's just not quite super steady like I like it. For some reason, I knew it was going high, just felt a little weak to it. And the bow definitely gave me a little bit of that feedback that I was worried that I wouldn't get. I got a little bit of harsher wobble as the arrow was coming out or the first few of the limbs hitting. So I did feel a little bit of feedback, so I'm happy to report so far I am feeling feedback like I would like to feel, but there is a lot less vibration, which is even nicer. I believe that that's important, and I've discussed it with my wife, and we both believe that less vibration, less feedback into you as the archer taxes your central nervous system much less, and you'll fatigue less and potentially have more energy by the end of the day, the end of the training day, the tournament, whatever it may be. Mostly sighted in, close enough to start at least. I cared enough today to put some real shoes on that are flat for shooting in, so hopefully I'm not leaning forward like I was in that other video. So some shots, the bow definitely gives me a bit more feedback than others. I haven't isolated why yet. Get up. That's why. I have a loose V-bar. I'm going to lower this a little so you can see better. You know, World Archery rules and all armpit height. That one wasn't a good shot. I kept holding and fighting through it even though I wanted to let down, but I want to get a good idea of what this bow does as far as feedback when a less than ideal shot is, as well as forgiveness and stuff. So, you know, I maintained a good strong bow arm on that one. That's why I didn't really go low, and I didn't necessarily collapse a ton, so I didn't go right, but it just was not a very dialed in shot. Left. So we'll see as this end or this round progresses if my groups continue to have vertical issues like I am right now. You know, you can see that the group is a little bit more vertical than circular. You know, that can be indicative of some sort of vertical plane issue, whether that be with stabilization or with knocking point, like I just showed you guys at 30 meters. It's really high for some reason. The bear shaft is, that is. This next end, I might put a 1/3 of an ounce on the end of the stabilizer on the long rod, see if that helps with my stabilization a little bit and maybe tightens up that grouping that I'm seeing down there. 52. That's what you get when you don't shoot any 10s. Can't shoot 8s if you don't shoot 10s. Okay, so that's a 1/3 of an ounce. It's an aluminum weight. We'll see if that makes a difference. You know, on the long rod, 1/3 of an ounce can make a big difference, especially the way that it balances. Changing that a little bit, we'll see if it makes a big enough difference in the way my aiming pattern's looking, as well as that grouping, because it is a bit vertical, and you know, that could be just because of the knocking point being off. Because the bow feels good, and I don't think that's the issue. And normally I don't shoot bows with knocking points this low as far as bear shaft tuning goes, so. I don't know if I missed that shot or not, but somebody was calling. I forgot to turn my phone on airplane mode, so I may have missed that one. But anyway, the long rod, the extra 1/3 ounce, it's a little heavy. Feels like it's sitting just a teeny bit low, but it's way more steady, so it's closer to where I should be, I think, as far as aiming goes. So. Weaken the bow arm, bow hand. Sloppy on the release, good on the bow arm. Saved a 9. That was better. Just hanging right. Definitely feels better with that stabilizer, that 1/3 ounce more. 53. Grouping, I'm just not hitting any 10s. So as the sun starts getting low down here, I'm starting to get like a sunburst effect on my string, which is going to affect my string alignment and make me hit more and more right. And as I've progressed here, I'm starting to hit more and more right. And now I'm starting to get weird shadows on the target from the camera, and that's better. Finally a 10. That was quick. Really quick. For giggles, I'm going to take this out. See if it really changes the way it balances. I'm going to take them both out. Top and bottom. Leave the center one much lighter. See what kind of feeling it feels like. Oy. Definitely changes the balance. Doesn't want to aim good now. I'm going to shoot another arrow and then take the center one out too. Definitely some more feedback to it. That wasn't the greatest shot. As you saw, I kind of threw my bow arm as I was following through, but it still feels pretty good. I kind of do that out of force of habit. It's a bit of a reset for me. Like if I let down, sometimes I'll look through the scope. I'm not actually caring where my arrows are when I'm looking through. It's a bit of a reset to kind of start the flow of the shot, the next shot back over again. Definitely even more feedback on that one. And clearly my vertical group is back. It's not good. I really think that I probably should just retune and get it to be back to where it should be once I tie a center serving on and figure out why my vertical groups are not so good. Or at least I'm seeing an inconsistency vertically. So it definitely shows that I need to work on something there in the setup. And the first place I would start is my knocking point, because clearly my tune shows that it is not where it's supposed to be, and nor have I ever shot it there at all. So it's not necessarily a fair representation. As badly as I wanted, it's an 8. 54. Neighbors gave me a prop. Let's see if it stays put. We'll see if the wind stops and lets it blow back up. I hit it. And I cut through it. There's a hole in it. I mean, it's just going right through it. I'll probably shoot 9 arrow ends, the next 2 ends. I'm running out of daylight here super quick, so I don't want to end the round without finishing it, even though I'm really unhappy with the vertical performance. Again, I think that's my fault, potentially because I put the plate in the high place when it should have been in the low place, but I'm not going to end without finishing the score. that was... Ooh. I mean, it feels so good. I'm not dialed in. Especially when something like that gets thrown in the works. You know, you gotta entertain the neighbors. Young kid had that Mylar turkey from school deflating, wanted me to shoot it, so you gotta make some people happy in their lives, you know. So that was a pretty good one. It's one of those things, the more you shoot, the more critical you get of the form, the harder you try, the less well you shoot. It's just, it happens when, you know, you're not up to the level of fitness or control that you're used to in the past. But that's okay, I get to test things out in a different way now. When I do what I'm supposed to do and I make a good shot, it definitely is going where I feel like it should or it's supposed to. I don't have 9, so I'm just going to do 6 arrow ends and knock 3 out quick. I knew it was going left. Just one of them shots, but I still am getting that feedback. It definitely is giving me that residual vibration that I'm looking for. That is when I make a bad shot. When I make a good shot, like I said, it feels clean and refined and it's really good. But when I make that mistake, I still feel the feedback, which I didn't feel as much with the TFT. I never shot the TFT-G, but it just didn't have as much feedback as I was used to, although I was fresh off of only shooting aluminum risers when I played with that for a very long time. So that could be part of the reason as well. But like I said, I can get the feedback out of this, even though it's very, very low as far as vibrational qualities go. 53, 2 ends left. I'm gonna do them quick. All right, I'm gonna knock these 2 ends out quick. Like I said, the sun's going down and I'm starting to get cold. The lighting is kicking my butt right now. Definitely not used to dealing with it anymore. That was a decent shot. Get up or right. Keep forgetting my breathing cycle. If you're interested in learning how I breathe when I shoot, I'll put a card at the top up there for the checkout. I've already done a video for that. There, that's better. Yeah, I can tell the bow's just not very tuned. When I make a not well, really good shot, I'm not hitting those 10s like I used to. That one hit a little left. I saw the arrow kick left out of the bow in my peripheral vision. Definitely not happy with the tune, but I'm still impressed with the way the bow feels despite that. Get right. That's a better group. All right, one more end. All right, 57, finally, a little better end. The lighting's definitely challenging because I'm getting the risers bright, the sight pin's dark, the target's dark, but there's light spots on the ground in front of me. Man. That was quick. I think I got lucky. Oh, yeah, getting tired. Whew, I made it further this time without getting tired than last time I was shooting, but I have shot more arrows too. Cool, not a bad way to finish. I'll take you down there and I'll give my final thoughts and feelings on this entire setup from Win&Win, the new 2021 lineup with the Meta DX riser and the MXT limbs. And yeah, I really like it, but we'll talk more when I get down there. Okay, so I finished with a 57, 60 size group almost. So that's 105, 107, 114, 26, 326. So yeah, 326 with this bow. I started less than great. The groups were pretty vertical, so it wasn't ideal as far as giving it a fair chance as far as a knocking point in the tune is concerned. Yes, I didn't do that either when I shot the 333 with the other setup, but I didn't have that far off of a knocking point. I don't normally shoot a very low knocking point. I never liked that. I found I got a lot of vertical variance out of that system and that type of tune. Probably I'm going to do another video at some point, put the plate low and see how that affects the feel, the tune, things like that, because it'd be interesting to find out if I will need such a high knocking point relative to my arrow rest. Other than that type of issue, that little bit of issue and that thing that I'm saw with the base of the limb and measuring tiller, I don't have any complaints with this system, with these limbs, with this riser. I think they both feel incredibly good. The limbs are, again, very stable while at full draw. Even I'm not a novice shooter, nor am I advanced anymore because my skills have deteriorated from not shooting a whole lot, but I can see the benefit to having a stable limb at full draw. And these definitely have it, whereas the NSs that I had, that I was competing with, did not have that these do right now. I like it. I think it would help many different archers. I like the feel of them. The quality of the draw through the clicker is also extremely smooth, and I'm very, very happy with that. It is definitely smoother than the NS limbs that I have. As far as I was concerned, I was impressed with a long time ago anyway. So I do need to make adjustments to my knocking point to give this a fair assessment as far as the true feel of it. From what I can tell at this point, it feels better than the ATF did when I had it tuned. As far as residual vibration and the feedback, I get the feedback still, even though the vibration is so low, which I was worried about in the beginning, but I am glad that I still have. I did notice a difference when I pulled out the actual dampers in the riser itself. It does make a difference, and I'm happy that it made a difference. Although it doesn't make a massive difference, it makes the bow itself has such a good feel that without them they even felt good too. So, you know, I had thoughts and concerns of potentially this may not be barebow legal because of the weight isolated in rubber. I have some ideas on how I can get around those rules potentially. I mean, you could actually just not shoot the weight and still have the rubber in there and have some vibrational dampening properties, potentially fully encapsulate the weight in rubber, and then it's a weighted damper, not a weight isolated in a damper. So I believe that would, in my book, be a workaround. World Archery is going to rule on whether or not this is okay for barebow, so I'm going to wait on that in order to shoot it at barebow. I'll probably play with these limbs with barebow anyway because, you know, I like the MXT GWs, and on barebow when I was string walking with the ATFX, I never hit my arm. I didn't need an arm guard even in a deep crawl. So I will probably put these limbs in that riser and give some barebow shooting and feedback and see how that goes. And I'm optimistic on that one because they're essentially the same type of build, just with a little bit more vibration dampening and some other different layups inside the limbs. I apologize that the video is getting a little dim here. Again, sun's going down and my camera lights are now dead because I've been filming for a while. You know, I think that this is definitely a different looking carbon riser compared to the other ones that Win&Win has. And any other company too. They have a majority of them are pretty much solid. They don't have any holes, whereas this one's got several holes for light, weight, and potentially a little bit better in the wind, and it looks better. You know, it's not just a solid chunk This looks like a really good looking riser. I like the color, and I'm glad. I just need a black plunger. My black plunger is on my wife's bow. Other than that, I like the look of all black against this tan. I think it's super sharp. Now, as far as properties that I definitely liked in the feel, I definitely felt that the bow jumped really hard towards the target and had very little residual vibration, especially when I made a good shot. However, like I've said before, when I've made mistakes, the vibration was definitely there. So it's not completely gone for people that would like a completely dead feel, but I really, really liked the dynamic jump and pop and crispness, the refinedness, the cleanliness of the actual shot. Like I said, clean and refined. Those are two words that I would absolutely use to describe this setup, and I think it's going to be a really good shooting Olympic style recurve setup. I mean, you know, after I got a little bit more comfortable and kind of focused and didn't focus so much on commentary or thinking about that, and actually remembered to breathe, most importantly, while shooting, my groups tightened up. I shot more 10s, especially once I tilted my hat like this to kind of cover up the blur that I was seeing because of the sun hitting the string. You know, all little things you forget when you're out of the sport for a while. You know, I kept bumping my scope with my stabilizers and all sorts of stuff because I haven't done these things in a while, and you know, all those little things add up to performance or lack thereof. So I'm glad I finished stronger than I started. Finished with a 114. If I shot all 6 ends that way, I'd be in the low 340s. So I mean, that's a pretty good score, and I'm overall happy with the performance of what I've got here. And like I said, I'm excited to play with that plunger location to see if I can find something else out. But yeah, overall, I think it's a winner. Real quick, anything that I used in this video as far as, you know, shooting stuff and form stuff and tuning stuff, tools, things like that, I'll have links in the description below where you can check those things out in case you're interested. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, consider hitting the subscription button and the notification bell, as well as the like button. I would appreciate it. Also, please consider supporting my channel. If you head to my website, jakekaminski.com, there'll be info and links on Patreon, apparel, books, and equipment sales, PayPal donate button, a P.O. box to send things to, and above all else, please share this video because there's no better advertising than word of mouth.